Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight I have a special guest with me. Back on the show, we have Mr. Steve Shalaty of Immolation. Welcome back to the show, Steve.
Thank you very much. Very pleased to be here. I miss you all. Hello, everybody.
So, Steve, the last time you were on the show was back in October, and Immolation is about to embark on a pretty intense tour now. So what have you been doing over the past 4 months to kind of prepare yourself for the tour?
I have been doing everything I possibly can, and just trying to get my injured leg back up to speed. I mean, it's a slow process, but I chip away at it every day, and just keep working it and working it. I had to take everything down to bare minimum. I never had an injury like this before, where my leg was just completely immobilized for that long, and everything just atrophies. It gets weak, and so it takes an amazing amount of time to re-strengthen all that stuff. I mean, you're talking about everything, like your toes and everything, because you don't use anything. You go from walking around on it every day to doing nothing. So, I've just been working it, doing some weird things, some new things. I've had to do some research and be creative, but it's been positive in the respect that I see constant improvement. I mean, it's slow. I'm super impatient, but it's constant improvement. So, just been working it, playing a lot of the new stuff a lot. I know we're going to go heavy on that in the upcoming touring season. So, just getting my hours in.
So, did you ever injure your legs from drumming? Ever in your career?
Oh, yeah. Yes. As a matter of fact, I've always been the kind of drummer that warms up beforehand. Like, even when I was really young and just starting out playing live and stuff, I always warm up. We all did. The whole band would sit together and warm up. But since I've started to get older and I've started to try to push things, you're always trying to push things faster for a longer time. I've started you get like little small injuries, and maybe you don't even recognize it's an injury, and then you just keep pushing it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I hurt myself. And so every time I do that, I have to address a situation, and that's usually like a flexibility or a warm-up or some sort of thing that I'm neglecting, and then I go in there and I try to use that muscle to an extreme level. And so I just go ahead and add that stretch or that warm-up into my practice routine. And so now I'll stretch and warm up anywhere from like a half an hour to an hour sometimes, just to get ready, just to avoid all that. Like I said, every time something happens, I add something new to it, so it keeps getting longer, but it's good. It keeps that from happening. But yeah, I've injured myself a few times. You strain yourself. I've done the same thing with my wrists. You go through all kinds of weird stuff as a death metal drummer. You're putting your body through the ringer big time. So
yeah, it's a physical thing that you're doing there. Now, you guys have a new album that came out on the 24th of this month. It's called Atonement. It's off of Nuclear Blast Records. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about your career with the band now. Almost 15 years now, I think. You started around 2003-ish. I'm not quite sure. You released 5 albums with the band. Now, how do you think that you personally have progressed over the years as the drummer of Immolation?
I think I've progressed in just about every way you can progress as a musician. I have had to, the first thing I had to do, which it took me a little while to do, was I really had to think about playing in a different way. I came from a band where I would just free-form playing, whatever I felt like playing, and most of the time it was just like a straight groove. I did a lot of grooving, a lot of blasting, and double bass, but it was always grooving. And when I got into Immolation, I recognized right away, okay, these guys groove too. It's still grooving it, I love that. I have to have that in my music or whatever. But it's a totally different kind of groove. Like, it's very weird. It's very odd. It's not what a normal drummer is going to just do off the cuff. You know what I mean? It's kind of got a weird mathematics to it or whatever. But as soon as I started to try to adopt that, adopt kind of the flavors and the style of the drummers that came before me, and then add that into my own thing, the better I started to understand like what Bob wanted and what the music called for, more than like when I first got in, you know, like especially the first album, Harnessing Ruin, I did a lot of stuff on that was like because I wanted to do it, you know, because they played me the riff and I said, this is what I think should be there. And instead of asking Bob, well, Bob, what did you have in mind? You know, we were kind of creating on the fly at that point, and it was more like what I would do with my old band, and I think I could have done some things different to make those parts more effective now in retrospect, because I just learned more of the drummer's niche in this band, and so stylistically, that's how it changed. I changed my setup completely. I've added like right side hi-hats, and I've got chinas everywhere, stuff that I never had with my old band, and I've also had to really fine-tune my playing, my technique, you know, my strength, my consistency. If you're going to go out there and do it every night, you know, and you want it to sound like the album, it's not like being in a local band where you save up all your energy all week and go down on Friday night and just blow out a set, and you know what I mean, that's it. You go get your sleep the next night, and you don't have to do it again for a week or whatever the case may be. This is like, you have to do it every night, and you have to, you know, you have to be perfect. You're playing with, a lot of times, you know, the best guys in the game, and you can't slouch around. So I've definitely had to be more of a professional drummer. Or at least I'm trying to be more of a professional drummer, but I think I am more so than I was when I joined the band, for sure. So it's definitely matured me in that respect too.
Now, you just mentioned, you know, how you have to do these shows every night, and you go on these tours that are so physically demanding because you're playing night after night. I mean, sometimes for more than a month. So like I said, it's physically challenging for you, but I mean, how do you adapt yourself to this touring situation where you have to stay healthy? And I mean, how do you even do that? I mean, you said something about how you have some rituals of, you know, making sure you stretch and stuff for not injuries, but I mean, you're meeting all these people and they're all full of germs and stuff. How do you stay healthy?
That is the secret underminer. That will, I mean, it doesn't matter how much you prepare, you can't prepare for getting sick and having to play sick. That's awful, especially if you're really sick, like really, like not just a cold or whatever the case. I mean, that's bad enough. But yeah, no, it's, I don't know. I've learned a lot of things that work, and you have to be smart. You have to educate yourself as to how sickness gets spread and stuff like that, and avoid those situations. Most of all, I try to take care of my immune system. I mean, I do that all year round, but you know, especially going into tour, I carry lots of powdered vitamins, and I know it's huge with death metal drummers. It seems to be pretty widespread. So, and out of all the things that you can do, other than obviously get your rest and stay clean and keep everybody around you clean, that's like the best thing I've ever found, is using like powder vitamins. Like I use Emergency. That stuff has saved my butt a bunch of times. Yeah, I know for sure. So no placebo there either, I don't think. So yeah, I mean, getting rest especially is huge. And I'm not one of the guys that's up till dawn every night, you know what I mean? I'm definitely all about making sure I get my sleep. It just makes the next day and the next day's performance less miserable if you're prepared for it, you know what I mean? You're not putting your body through stress. You know, I can't stay up and party all night and then try to play the next day. It's just not for me anyway. I know guys that could do it, but
have you ever
my bag.
Have you ever played sick?
Oh, of course. Absolutely. I've, been shivering in the darkness in my bunk, all day. They'll know if I'm really sick, and they'll just leave me in there. You know what I mean? They just walk out and leave me in there. Like they won't do sound check. Maybe if we get sound check, or we'll skip sound check, or whatever the case is, they'll let me rest, and I'll just be in there, just trying to sweat it out, and sleep it out until literally like hour, 45 minutes before I'm supposed to go on stage, and then I'll get up, put on my clammy stage clothes, go have something to eat, something to energize myself or whatever, and start my warm-up ritual and go on, and then come off and go straight back to the bunk because it was just so sick.
But it's like, it's like you said, there's people that are paying to see you, and there's a lot of kids there, so, it's the...
I honestly can't tell you one time where I failed. Like, I can't, like, where I was just, like, one of those times where I was just crawling from my deathbed out to the drum set, but always somehow the adrenaline or whatever it is, you do it, and then at the end of the show, you're like, how did that even happen? And you feel good. Like, your breathing passages are all open again, your heart's working, and you actually feel like the best you felt all day for, like, another half an hour after you get off stage, and then just crack. Yeah.
And what has the experience been like for you now as far as the traveling aspect of touring goes, visiting all these different countries and meeting all these people?
Well, that's been one of the best things about it, because I think that truly helps you grow as a person, and you just broadens all your perspectives on so many different things, and people too included, and to be able to go as many different places as I have, I'm so lucky. Just went down under this summer, went to Iceland this summer. I mean, it's blows my mind, and it's one of the best parts about that is, I mean, obviously you get to see the place, you get to see the countryside or the cities or whatever, but meeting the people is the best part. We're like a big people band. We like to hang out and meet the locals or whatever. We got no problem doing that. That's our pleasure. But the cool thing for me is that it's no matter where you go, even if it's somewhere you've never been, it's like the club is already there. You're already part of this club. It's metal. And so people just, you know what I mean? There's a welcoming party everywhere you go. And I love it. I love hanging out with the crowd. I love talking to people. People want to come up to me and, be like, oh, you're the drummer and just some great thing or whatever, but they don't realize that I'm like the new guy, and I'm like I've been to see Immolation live like a bunch of times before I was even in the band, you know what I mean? So I can talk to them from a fan's point of view, and that's often how it goes. Like, we'll just start talking about older Immolation stuff, the stuff from before I was in the band, and I don't know. It's almost like I forget I'm in the band for a while. It's cool. I really enjoy it.
That's awesome, though. But today we're here to talk about the new album, Atonement, out on Nuclear Blast Records. So, Stephen, what was your first impression on hearing the music sent to you when you had to write your parts for it upon hearing it yourself for the first time?
I think we talked a little bit about this last time. It was super unnerving for me. The first song that Bob sent me was like the super slow creeper on the album, Thrown to the Fire, I think it's called, and it was, you have to understand, what I get from him is just stripped down, it's just guitar, one guitar and drums, and for it to be like as slow as that song is and kind of like plodding in the beginning, and we just got done doing Kingdom, which was all like machine gun, double bass blasting, pretty much the whole thing was very aggressive, and I'm always about just trying to outdo what we've done. So when I heard that, I was like, oh no, what's this, and it had been a while too, like since since I had heard anything new, any of the new material and stuff. So we were waiting and waiting and waiting. So for me, it was honestly, I kind of felt let down, and I kind of I emailed Bob about it, and I was like, yeah, what, we got to step it up, dude. Cause I don't know what I was thinking at the time. Like, who am I? But I just care so much about the music and about the band and all that, and so I always just want it to be over the top as best as it can be. So yeah, I sent kind of a scathing email to him, and I feel bad about that. I probably shouldn't have done it because it was very short-sighted of me, and like I just explained, like I just told you guys, it was very raw, in a very raw state, and wasn't nearly like a complete song. Because now you hear it, you don't even hear the stuff complete until after we come out of the studio, because the vocals are never there, all the guitar nuances aren't there. There's 3 layers of guitars and stuff, so Bob always has all this planned, but I only hear like the very elemental version of it. So I misjudged it. Yeah, now hearing that song all complete with everything that goes over it, I can really appreciate the excellent songwriting and good riffs and just good. Yeah, it's a good song. It's good. It's very very dynamic too. Like I said, it starts so slow and plodding, but then it ends up going off the charts too in the middle of it. So
I think it's my favorite one because it has all the different cymbal work on it and stuff like that, and it's you're a little out of your element there, but it's good, it's interesting, it's different than what we're used to hearing.
But like you said, out of your element, like when the hell have I ever played that kind of stuff? Like never, so when he hit me with that, and like I'm hearing like all this little cymbal work and nice, it was kind of like, what is this? I want to blast. What's going on? So, but I heard that stuff before I blew my leg up, which makes a big difference too. So, like, my attitude towards it kind of changed after I realized that I was going to have to do it all with a bum leg. So I was really started to embrace the opportunity to do more cool stuff with the hands, and like you asked me earlier about how this band has helped me grow or improve or progress as a drummer. I mean, that's an example of it right there. Just having to not rely on just my go-to stuff, what's easy for me or comfortable for me. This band has been all about A, clutch performances, and B, playing out of your comfort zone and learning how to make it more your comfort zone. You know what I mean? Like, you can't run away from playing stuff that's uncomfortable in this band. So that was that's an example of it right there. Like, I would never do like little ting ting stuff on the cymbals. You know what I mean? I'm like, let's go. But I'm glad I did it. It sounds cool. I think it's a cool effect, and it's totally different. I mean, I don't know.
It is for you, it is, and it sounds really good, and that's what's nice about this album. It is different, a lot of bands, they come out with a new album, it doesn't sound that much different than the last album, and this one sounds different than the last album, I have to say,
Oh yeah, no, it is totally, man. It's this album, like I said, obviously it's kind of different aggression-wise from the other one. I mean, like, I know that there's plenty of aggression on this one, but I mean, it's different than Kingdom was. Kingdom was just really pounding, and this album gives me like, I don't know. My friends and I, growing up, have always been very visual about our death metal. Like, I like an album that, like, I guess you'd call it ambience, but for me, it's like what I see in my head when I hear the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it gives you like a visual feel. And this album has like a total different visual feel than Kingdom did for me. I don't know. When I just listen to it and, like the vibe that the riffs give me, and I don't know, it puts visions in my head, I don't know. Different bands are like that. Like when I listen to Cannibal Corpse, they got that panicky sound. You just, for me, I picture like someone being chased down by a psychotic killer, pack of wolves.
Well, this...
yeah, you know, stuff like that. There's a lot of that on this album, and I don't know, it's kind of creepy, some of it.
Well, this is true now. You know, and I know that you're just the drummer, and you don't really have anything to do with the lyrics and stuff like that, but the title, Atonement, itself is something most people equate with sort of a religious reconciliation with God type of thing. And then when I read the lyrics to all the songs on the song list and listen to it, and it's like people separating from God and like Rise the Heretics, and then there's War and Atonement and Epiphanies. Now, is this how this album is supposed to read? I mean, even with the cover art with the angel up there and everything, it's kind of powerful.
Yeah, these guys, they put it together really well. They collaborated on, I think, every song. Like, I know, you know, they would come to each other, you know, because I'm there for almost the whole lyric writing process. They do it in the studio when we get in there, so they'll sit up every night working on the stuff, and Ross will have like a bulk of an idea or something, or like, you know, a bunch of lines, and Bob will have a bunch of lines, and then they sit down and they help each other and they work it, so they collaborate on everything. So this one you could totally tell, because this way Bob can tell Ross exactly what he's thinking and the feel and the vibe that he's got for the part. And like I said, he's always got this kind of planned out ahead of time, like he knows where the singing should be, and maybe he wants the leads to go and stuff. And that just helps them, like, I don't know, make a good song out of it. Yeah. And the lyrics, even though, I mean, these guys love to take every opportunity to take some traditional religious lingo or imagery and turn it a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and use it in a different way, or to describe something differently. I mean, they'll take every opportunity to do that sort of thing. So there's a lot of that cleverness going on with the titles and stuff and the lyrics. I love it. I think it's cool.
It is, and you know, that's how this album flows, because they are, if you take them literally, you could take them from like biblical things, but a lot of it also pertains to what's going on in the world today. You know, the fall from religion, the separation from God, the result of that with the people, just how it is. It's really good. Now, you had mentioned, you know, how when you hear a song, you picture shit in your head. Well, this is the kind of stuff that I picture in my head when I'm listening to this song too. And when you have the lyrics, it's a whole nother ballgame when you know what the lyrics are too, and you hear the music and the lyrics, because the music goes so well. It's like almost epic for Immolation, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah. They did a good job. Everything matches. I think even like, I don't know. I think even the album artwork is a good match to this too. Like, everything seems, you know, the old... sit there, listen to the album while you look at the artwork and stuff, and you just, you know, it should all match, it all should blend and stuff. I think they did a really good job. Everybody did a good job. Carl Olson did a good job with the artwork. The colors, I don't know, something about the colors is cool too. Yeah, a lot of bleak, kind of cold, a lot of hopeless, miserable on this album. It's totally different than Kingdom was.
But I like it because it has all these different elements to the music, you know, and you could hear things like that sounds kind of like black metal-ish almost, you know, and it's fun for the listener, you know, and obviously you must have had to challenge yourself into writing all these different songs. I mean, you got that one song, but then they kept coming. Yeah, and that was another thing for me, because I mean, honestly, I'm not like the biggest black metal guy. Like, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like much black metal at all. But so to be having those kind of black riffs coming in, I was like, you know what I mean? It was like, I was like, this is not gonna work. This is not what I want to be. You know what I mean? Where's the palm muting? Where's the thunder stuff? You know what I mean? I was getting a lot of that black metal vibe and stuff, but I don't know. I mean,
I know Bob, he's not a black metal guy at all. I think there's just like this bottomless well of misery, and he keeps coming up with these horrible sounding, miserable riffs, and just I don't know, but it works. It works. I think it strikes a nice balance with the groove parts and the trancy parts, and like I said, there's parts on here that I don't even know, is that death metal? I can't even, you know what I mean? But like you said, it's just got this epic sound, and
it does.
It all matches, man.
It does.
The end of the Jackals is like, I don't know, it's super slow, and it's like epic, and he keeps going with the guitar layers, and it always makes me feel like where they show that aerial view of a guy, and he's in the middle of a glacier, and it's like spinning out, you know what I mean? And you see that it's just like acres and acres and acres of glacier all around him, and you just get that hollow, hopeless feeling. Like, I don't know, man. I love it.
Well, that brings a whole different level to that song, Steve.
Listen to it.
I'm gonna now, and I'm gonna picture the dude.
Oh, yeah, the outro to that is just, oh boy.
It's an awesome album. Now, talking about the album, all right, 11 tracks on it, and then the 12th track is a re-recorded song off the first album, Dawn of Possession. So tell us why you guys added that song on the end of that album, and also about the whole Decibel magazine thing and what went on with them.
Yeah, that was the whole plan from the get-go. Was Decibel wanted us to re-record that for the 25th anniversary of the album Dawn of Possession. That was like the first song that those guys ever wrote, I think. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to do that one, and we did it in the same session that we did the new album. So we did it in the same studio, but as soon as the raw tracks were recorded, we sent the whole kit over to Harris Johns, who did the first album, and so he did his magic on this one too, which was super cool. I was super excited for that. That's like I don't know, some kind of part of way for me to be part of the old history of Immo. You know what I'm saying? It was an honor to play that song for that, and Decibel put it out on a flexi-disc in the issue, I think a month back or 2 months back. Mm-hmm. Really cool, came out nice, and it's cool to see like how Harris does it compared to how the rest of the album came out when we sent the rest to Zach. It's really cool, 2 different takes on it.
And it's a nice little addition to the end,
I didn't even know they were going to put it on there, to be honest with you. On the album. Mm-hmm. I knew it was going on the Flexidus, but I had no idea that it was going to end up going on the album. So that's really cool.
And it's definitely a treat for us.
I tried my hardest to make sure it was just right for all the old schoolers, because I didn't want to change a note of the drums for that stuff. So,
well, I think you succeeded in that. Now, do you guys plan any videos or any of that kind of stuff for the album?
Yeah, there's been a ton of that, and a ton of talk about it anyway. And it's just we've kind of haven't had the opportunity. Just getting ready for this tour and stuff, and some other things that we had going on. We had to do a photo shoot a little while ago. We were going to try to get the video done at the same time, but it was just there was some logistic problems and some scheduling as far as finding a place. They want to do it in New York, so we have to find a place that we can do it, that we're allowed to do it. They're not going to throw us out or whatever. And it's the middle of winter, so that on top of it. So it's just a matter of finding the place we want to do it, and then hooking up the time and the opportunity to get us all out there, because I have to come out from Ohio. So, but it will happen. We are definitely planning on it, and I know that's one of Bob's favorite things. I mean, that's what he does for a living. So, yeah, should be cool. And he's got a few planned. He's already got songs picked out that he wants to do the videos and stuff for. So
you should tell him about your idea with the guy on the glacier.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. So I was going to mention, you said earlier, is like you're just a drummer and you have nothing to do with the lyrics. Those guys are super cool about letting me have input on the lyrics.
That's awesome.
So you know, totally. Like one of the songs off Majesty was almost all me. Like,
wow.
I came up with some crap right before I fell asleep in the middle of the night, or at the one day after recording all day. I was just like laying in my bunk upstairs while they were working on lyrics downstairs, and I just started, and I just wrote a bunch of stuff down. I gave it to Ross the next day, and I think that was my last day in the studio. And then I left. I drove home after that, and then he like got a hold of me like a few days later, and he's like, "Dude, I used all that. It's gonna be the lyrics for track number 10 and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, I was so happy. I was totally stoked."
That's really interesting because a lot of times it's the singer does the lyrics, and you know anybody you talk to that's not the singer doesn't know what the hell it's all about. So that's kind of rare, but that's awesome that you're all included in that process as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we sit around the table. They got their laptops out. We're eating cereal, dips and salsa, and working on lyrics. You know, the last album, honestly, I didn't get involved at all. I was completely consumed and absorbed in what I was going to be doing the next day on the drums. Like, I was in a zone kind of this time, and so I didn't participate. But the last couple albums before that, Majesty, especially, I tried to throw in my 2 cents. It's always nice, you know, you got three guys sitting around.
Yeah.
And if you need a word, you know what I'm saying? You're like, well, I want to say this, but I don't want to say it that way, you know? You have like three minds on it.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I mean, how many bands are like that? Where
none. That's why you surprised me.
They take kind of input from anybody, especially the drummer.
I know. Well, I didn't mean it to sound like that. You're only the drummer. I know the drum. Without the drummer, there is no band. So let's just put it that way.
I can play the drums. You don't know what your ideas are.
So hey, tell us about this tour that you guys are going on with the Cavaliers.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous about everything right now. I'm kind of freaking out. Yeah. I mean, what do you say, the Cavaliers? Are you kidding me? This is another one, like, even after meeting everybody that I've already met, and how blown away I've been by it, like, I would never thought I would ever meet the Cavalier brothers, and now I'm going to be like, you know, we're going to be hanging out every day. Well, not hanging out, but you know what I mean? I'm going to be, you know, I've seen them every day. They're going to play every night. The guys are going to have a hard time keeping me out of the pit, I think, on this tour, because they're playing the Roots album every night, and there is some pit candy on that album. That is a heavy album. So I'm going to have to exercise extra restraint if I'm not in there mixing it up every night. I'm super excited. Super excited.
So tell us, so how long is the tour?
It's a little over a month. I think it's like a month and a couple days. Running around the U.S., but we're headed straight to the desert. Like, I got to pick up our guys in Salt Lake and then straight to Vegas, which I couldn't be happier about that. It's the dead of winter in Ohio. And I've had it. I need to break it up a little bit. I know I'm going to have to come back this way because we start over there, swing back to the East Coast, and then back around to the West Coast to finish it. So,
and then
it'll be sweet.
After this tour, do you guys got some more stuff going on?
Yeah, there's we're doing the Decibel Metal and Beer Fest, which is going to be sick. There's some super cool bands on that. Again, just honored to be amongst that kind of lineup for that kind of event. It's going to be sweet. That's going to be really cool. And then we're going to Europe to tour with our very good friends in Vader, which I'm also nervous about that because James Stewart is he's just one of the best guys in the biz, so gotta be on my game. Don't want to get paddled around the stage every night by him, but hey, how it goes, man.
So you
and with the elite.
There you go. Well, you're going to be one of them now.
Yeah, I try to hang with those guys. They're cool, man. It's going to be a joy. Like, Vader's such a pro act. They just, I mean, everything they do is just, man. I mean, that's the kind of tightness that I aspire to, and James is a huge part of that, man. And he's such a cool guy, so down to earth. You want to talk drums, we'll talk all day to you. Just super cool, man. Yeah, it's going to be an honor.
So you have a pretty exciting year coming up. And I also noticed this album, there was a lot of promotion behind the album. And, you had these little videos that were made talking about the songs and all that kind of stuff. So I know people got, really excited for that now. I mean, is this more promotion than usual for an album? I mean, this one was really, really, really built up. I mean, at least for you guys.
I can't... Everybody just seems to, really get behind this. I mean, obviously, the Nuclear Blast family is huge, pivotal in that. So, super kudos to them. And that's something Immolation's not necessarily used to, to say that. But, since we joined that family, it's been, each album has been more and more, and just very, very positive. And Decibel, like I said, Decibel got behind us and has been very supportive too. And it's really weird. And the guys tell me about it all the time. Bob and Ross are just they can't believe it. They're just like, what? What's good? How is this happening to us? Immolation, it's been a lot of long, rough years, you know what I mean, of not ever quite getting in the spotlight or getting the attention that they worked for or whatever. But this has just been unbelievable. When I talk to them, they're just like, dude, I can't believe it, man. We're pitching ourselves every day. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just, so I'm super happy for them, and I feel super lucky to be part of it. It's just been an amazing ride. But everything has been cool, and I think the fans like that stuff. They like seeing the videos, those two, telling exactly what went down. I mean, it gives you a little inside feel, and it shows you that those guys, if you haven't seen them or met them before, that they're super down to earth, super cool guys. So I like that stuff. That's neat. So yeah, when we get a chance, to do some actual real videos for this album, it'll be nice to add that to it, add that to what people can go check out.
Yeah.
Expose the band.
Yeah, and it is fun for the fans, because we're waiting for this album. We know that it's coming out. So when we get these little things leading up to the album, it's just, more like little teasers. But also, you kind of understand where the album's going to be coming from once you hear it, so it doesn't totally freak you out, but it does kind of freak you out with this. This one kind of does a little bit, but I think it was just really, really fun for the fans as well, too.
No, I think it's super cool, and I think it's important because you can't lose sight of one thing, man. And this was a surprise to me when I realized it was true. But a couple of years ago, I think it was when we did the Decibel tour with Napalm and Cannibal. There are kids there every night that have no idea who you are. We had kids coming up to the merch booth and pointing to whichever. I think we were selling 2 albums at the time. We had CDs for the new one for Kingdom at the time, and we had CDs for Majesty or whatever. And the kids were trying to decide which one they wanted, and they'd be like, "Which one's your first album?" And we're like, "Dude, that's the 8th album." It's so these kids have never heard of you before. You know what I mean? It's just, you can't just assume that everybody knows Immolation because they've been around since '89 or whatever. So that's cool too, because those fans are getting something out of it too, and getting exposed to, like I said, if you've never met Bob and Ross or you don't know what Immolation's about, that's really cool. Right away you know what's going on, what they're about. So,
and it's even more cooler that they're buying your merch and they don't know who you are.
Oh, that's super encouraging. So that's the other thing. When you come see us on tour, we're at the merch booth, you know what I'm saying? Bob and Ross are there all the time, so it's cool for the fans. Those guys are the main guys or whatever. So people like to come and talk to them, get the pictures taken, and just bullshit, mingle with them. And they're there, they're available, they're accessible all the time. Super down to earth guys. So yeah, when we come to your town, come to the merch booth. We'll be there.
Get a picture taken.
Or whatever.
So Steve, again, Atonement, out now on Nuclear Blast Records, and you can follow the band Immolation over on their Facebook page. And Steve, thank you for coming back on the show, and all the best with the new album and tour for you and the band.
Thank you very much. I'm nervous. I hope everybody likes it. I really do. Pretty unique. I think it's a breath of fresh air for people, but I have some super brutal friends, some guys that are like into the most insane, brutal, just demolishing stuff ever, and so those are the guys I always go to check, you know what I mean, and I've gotten good reviews from everybody I've talked to so far, so I hope everybody likes the rest of it, and yeah, I'll see you guys out there.